Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. So I did a thing. I wanted to try out a device I've been seeing some reviews on lately and been showing up on some ads for me lately. It's the XP Pen Magic Notepad. There's a lot to like here. There's also some things that could be better. So if you're thinking about getting a new device for note taking or just general everyday media consumption, stick around. I want to tell you what I like and what I don't like about it. So this is the XP Pen Magic Notepad. Not going to go through an unboxing, to be honest with you. I don't have the patience to wait. When it comes in, I'm immediately ripping that joker open and digging in to see what it's like. On the back of the box, you can see some of the specifications, just some basics I'm going to go over with you. The screen size is 10.95 inches. It's 1920 by 1200 pixels. It's got a 400 nit brightness. It's got 16,384 pressure levels with the pen. It's got an 8,000 milliamp hour battery, and then Android 14, which I think is really good. It's got an octa-core processor, 6 gigs of RAM, and then 128 gigabytes of storage space. So this is the device. What I'm going to show you here today, I've kind of got everything outlined in what I like and what could be better. And I'm using the built-in Notes app, which I believe is J Notes, but they call it XP Pen Notes or something to that effect. And I'm using a tape feature that they have where you can tape over stuff and you can reveal it. So I'll reveal what my impressions are as we go along. So this is not a review. This is really just basically like what I said. It's what I like and what I don't like. So let's just go ahead and jump in. So the first thing that I like about it is the form factor and the feel in hand. So it's a very well balanced device. I like that it is much taller than it is wide. That really makes it handy to hold. I like the edge over here on the side where the pen sits. The pen does magnetically attach to this, and it's a pretty strong magnet. But I do like holding that. The device does auto rotate, so if you're right-handed and you choose to hold it in your right hand, you could certainly do that as well. But it's really just a good device from a look and feel standpoint. It's not, the same premium type quality you would get from an iPad. It does have a good feel to it. So I think I would say that that's probably the first thing that I like about it. The second thing would be the writing feel. So you get a one of their premium or their pro stylus, I believe is what it's called. It has a very soft feel to it on the screen when you're writing. It's very quiet to write with. There is no clickety clack on the screen unless you're really, intending to do that like I just did. But the writing feel is very good. So it reminds me, if you've had any kind of a Samsung device with their S Pen, it reminds me of that with a little bit more drag, probably not much more drag than that, but it's very similar to that. It's a very fluid feel to the writing. So really like that as well. So the stylus dock, I do like the stylus dock there. It keeps your pen handy. It seems to be more secure here than it would be on the edge. There's another thing that I like about the stylus dock when you're using the included uh, cover that comes with it. I'll show you that real quick. The cover, the cover is magnetically attached, as you can see, and there is a slot over here for the stylus when you close the cover. So it keeps it secure there. One of the things that I like about this is the fact that if I'm holding the device like this, I need something to do with the pen because it's right in the way of my thumb. So what I've found is that you can just flip this over, put it in the pen slot, and it magnetically attaches back there as well. It's not going to fall out. It will come out if you shake the device heavily, but it pretty well stays there. So I've got the protection of the cover, and I've also got the place to put my thumb over here to hold the device as well. Now I can knock it pretty good and it'll come out, but that's a pretty handy thing. I also found that if you're, and of course I wouldn't use it like this, but I've also found that it will stick magnetically to the back of the device as well in the same spot where that would be. But like I said, that's probably not something that I would use the device for. The third thing is snappy performance. The device really does perform well when you're going from, one application to another. It's probably not iPad M4 speed. It is something that it performs reasonably well. And a lot of these apps I don't have preloaded. Um, for example, Chrome, just going into some other stuff, YouTube. It performs reasonably well. Like I said, it's not an iPad M4 level performance, but it is satisfactory, especially when you go into the notes and which is what this device is designed to be used for, is to be a notepad. I really like that it's got Android 14. You see a lot of the e-ink devices that are using much older versions of Android, and I really worry about from a security standpoint or really from a longevity standpoint, how long is that device going to be viable from a security patches and the things that they always update on the Android system. So I really do like that this has Android 14. It's got the Google Play Store, of course. So you have access to all the apps that are on the Play Store. So you can add just about anything to it that's available for an Android tablet. Of course, one of the downfalls of the Android tablets is that not all apps are properly configured for tablet viewing. For example, when you go into stuff like social media like Facebook, you do get it's rather large. You see where a picture like this or a video like this, it's full screen. It's taking up the whole view. Whereas on an iPad, they make that more intelligent and don't use up the whole screen in the same way. So they also filter out blue light, and I want to show you what is on their website about that. So it's low blue light, easy on the eyes. It has gained TUV, SUD, low blue light certification, and Paperlike display certification. So I was wondering what that meant. Um, I did a Google search and got an AI response that says that TUV SUD certification for blue light protection indicates that a product like a monitor or display has been tested and verified to reduce the harmful effects of blue lights on the eyes. So, okay. This certification assures consumers that the product meets specific standards for low blue light emissions, preventing eye strain and fatigue. So that's pretty cool. If you're going to use this for reading or for, long periods of time that you're going to be writing on the device, or whatever you use it for, it's nice to have that certification. So I also like the screen modes. Now these could be considered to be gimmicky. So what we're looking at here is the full color mode, but there's a button on the top of the screen. There's a power button, and then there's a display button or X paper button that lets you change the display mode. So as you can see, nature color mode is what they're calling this. This is high definition, bright original colors. So there's, I think, up to 16 million colors, I think is what they say. But you can also go into light color mode. It says low saturation, soft color, paper-like display effect. This is very similar to what you would find on the Note Air 4C by Boox. So let's go ahead and go into that mode real quick. You'll see how the transition happens. You'll see they've got a sound effect that goes with it. And then we'll go in and look at a website so that you can get a feel for what that looks like. Let's just go to cnn.com. And then I'm going to show you the same website on the Boox Note Air 4C. So here is the same website on the Boox Note Air 4C. Let me go back to this. So I don't know if you can see this on the video, but on the XP pen, you've got very smooth colors. There's not as much dithering. I'm not sure if I'm using the correct term or not, but you can see the colors are kind of similar, but it is much clearer of an image on this device because it's not an e-ink screen. So just kind of a comparison there. We've also got another mode when you go into the X Paper display settings. You've got another one that's called ink paper mode. And this one really just takes the device to a black and white mode. So we'll just stay on the CNN website. You'll see that all the color is drained out of the website. It is black and white. When you go back to the home page, the icons are very basic, as you can tell by the Facebook icon. It's on a white screen, very, very simple. If you look at maybe reading on a Kindle app, as you can see, it's very crisp text on a white background. I think you can also do the reverse if you go into themes, I think it is, or maybe more, or layout. You can change it to white on black. And of course, I can change the intensity of my brightness and get that to wherever I want it to be. Um, but it's really a pleasant reading experience as far as that goes. I'll change it back to the way that I had it originally. And I'm going to lower the screen brightness quite a bit so I don't get the glare. All right, so I'm going to go back to my list, but before I do, I want to bring it back to nature color mode or full color mode. Let you see that transition. So the screen modes are kind of neat. You know, a little bit easier on the eyes, not quite as much glare. Something that you know, I've played around with, and I've had fun with the muted colors. The middle, the one that looked like the Note Air 4C. It's nice to have that those less intense colors, but you know, for it's easier on the eyes, but a higher definition than the e-ink screen can give you. All right, so next up is the Notes app, which what I'm in right now. So I listed out template options, multiple tabs, and it's full featured. So from the template options, you know, I can come up here to my menu and say replace the template. I can replace the template or the cover. And when I select a template, I'm only going to use the one that I've got right here. So I've chosen line paper. I can tell it, you know, what color I want that line paper to be, between white, beige, and dark gray. I can also choose the size of the paper. I've got A4 on here listed. I can choose whether I want the template to be horizontal or vertical. And then since it's lined paper, I can choose my line spacing. So I've got it set on 2. That's my preference. I can go down to 1 or I can go all the way up to 8. And I'll give you an example. If I change it to 4, you'll see how wide those are. If I change it to 1, you can see what that does. Much tighter. You can see my stuff is no longer lining up. I really think that's a cool option. Instead of giving you multiple templates that are preset, you have the option of being able to change these things here. So I thought that was really cool. I also like the fact that this is sort of like GoodNotes in the fact that you can have multiple documents open at the same time and swap between them. I really like that, to be able to go between, for example, I might want to keep a book in here, maybe the Bible, and swap between that and this and be able to, you know, never leave this app to be able to do that. And then the last thing that I said was that it's full featured. So this really is a full featured app. It's got just about everything that you would find in any other app, such as GoodNotes, you know, different pens, colors and tools, and you know, the ability to search your handwriting. You can record. There are just a lot of different features in here. Um, you can add. It's even got a laser pointer feature that you know, if you're projecting your screen, you can use that as well. It's really just a full featured app. Like I said, this is not a review, so I'm not going to go in and talk about all the different functions, but it really is it really is a full featured note taking app. The next thing is battery life. While it's not, you know, extraordinary, it is certainly, it matches any other e-ink device that I currently have, or even my iPad. It may even sip power a little bit slower than those devices. So have really been happy with the battery life so far. Eraser options are really cool. So you got the eraser tool. You can erase either a pixel eraser or an object eraser, which is kind of like an entire stroke. You can set the size of your eraser. I've got it set for 4 pixels. You can erase highlighter only. You can set your eraser to only erase highlighter, which I think is an outstanding feature because there's a lot of times that I'll highlight something and then decide that I no longer want it highlighted. Or you can erase tape only. So these blue lines that I've been revealing, this is tape. If I wanted to only erase the tape, I could set my eraser to do this. Let me go ahead and let me just tape over my writing fluid here. And then if I set my eraser for tape only, it will not erase the text underneath it, just the tape. I think that's really cool. And then you can have a pressure sensitive eraser. Not really sure if I would ever use that, but it's a cool option to have. Matte screen, less reflective. So the screen does have a matte coating on it or a matte a screen protector on it. It is not as reflective as a typical LCD screen. So you don't get the bright lights and the glare and the reflection like you typically do on another device. However, you also have, it does limit your viewing angles. As you can see when I turn this, you'll see kind of the shimmer there, and the more of an angle that I get it at, the harder it is to see. But it's really a good screen as far as reducing reflections. It's got a 90 hertz refresh rate. So if you're comparing that to like a base model iPad all the way up to the iPad Air and the iPad Mini, they only have 60 hertz refresh rate. And if you're thinking about e-ink, there really is not a refresh rate in that expressed in that particular way. It's a very fast refresh rate. If you're going to watch videos, consume any kind of a media, that really is helpful to have. So it makes the device multifunctional. And then this has Face ID. It's not the secure Face ID that you'd want to use for like banking applications or anything, where it's critical, but it does help you to unlock the device using Face ID. If you're comfortable with that level of security, it's a quick option to get into your device, and it works really well. So let's talk about some of the things that I think could be better. The first thing is the pen bubble on this case. I did mention that it does have its benefits, but it is really unattractive. If just the color had matched this, that might have been better. It really looks like a blister on the side of this thing. I hate to be, gross, but that's kind of what it looks like. So not a fan of the pen bubble. Lack of settings in the note apps to improve your handwriting and notes. I think I read where it does have like anti-aliasing. It does have some things to, make your handwriting look a little bit better. But I know in some apps, like in Apple Notes, you've got refine your handwriting. In Good Notes, you've got the stroke stabilizer that you can set to different settings. And it would be nice to have something in here for this because my handwriting, I'm okay with it, but it doesn't look as good as it does on other devices. Subscription required for all the notes features. It's a very low cost subscription. I think it's $5.99. That's not a month. I think that's either a year. I think it's a year, but I'll have to check on that. To get all the features required in the notes, you don't have to get the subscription to be able to use the device effectively. But to use all of the features, and I don't know what the ones are that you get when you do the subscription, but I did the subscription. It's $6. I didn't have any qualms over that. Screen texture missing. So I mentioned earlier, it is a good device to write on. It does provide resistance, especially if you put more pressure. It really, adds a little bit of drag to your pen. If you write really light, the drag is not as much there. I would have loved to have had a little bit more of a gritty texture, maybe something similar to what you get on the screen protectors for the iPad, or the Remarkable Paper Pro has a gritty texture that I really love. So, would have loved to have had something like that um, on this device. The button on the pen. So there is a button that is programmable. You can program it to multiple functions. Mine is currently programmed for the eraser. The button is hard to find. I tend to hold my pen close to the pen tip. And so the button is back up here somewhere, and I have a trouble finding it and always have to rotate my pen. And or sometimes I'll just take the pen and just do it like this and until I find the button and then I hold it and use it as an eraser like that. So it's, probably not, for me, it's probably not the best placement on the pen barrel. And then it's kind of, hard to find, or it's kind of hard to feel. They do put a little depressed dot in there to help you kind of feel that a little bit better as you transition from the barrel of the pen. But for me, not the best. Lack of tilt with the pen, as you can see on the pen tip is very short, and then it immediately goes to a very wide barrel of the pen there. So you really can't do any kind of sideward pressure. My pen tip does not begin to touch until I'm at about a 45-degree angle. So the pen does not have tilt capability. It does have 16,000 levels of pressure sensitivity, which is really good. Um, but it lacks that tilt. So it makes drawing, or we're going to do some shading or something like that, a little bit more difficult. It's finicky with hyperlinked documents. So I've got a hyperlinked document here. It's a document that I've got. If you can see this here, it's got 5,108 pages in it. It's kind of a notebook that I use for work. Each one of these fields is a hyperlink to go to it to note pages. In order to use those, I can't use those. I have to change it to the, I guess, this mode here. And then I still can't use those because the eraser is selected. I can go here. Now I can use these hyperlinks. So it's a little bit finicky on when and how you can use that. And you have to, now it's back to where I'm not being able to use that again, or I'm actually drawing with my fingers, which is not something that I want to do. And finally, I mentioned the screen earlier, and I talked about the viewing angles. Really, the viewing angles are, something that really is kind of a hindrance for me. So often when I'm writing, like I am right now, I'm sitting back away from my desk because I have the overhead camera. So I have to be a little bit further away from the document. So the document is not as clear as it would be as if I were looking straight on. It's very bright for me straight on, but you can see on the camera right now is approximately what I'm seeing from an angle. And this is what you see when you're looking more straight on. So that is that is something that may make it to where I couldn't use this thing on a daily basis. So let's get to, would I recommend this device as a note-taking device, which is what it's designed to be. That's why it's called the Magic Notepad. I had 14 pros and eight, could be betters. I wouldn't call them cons. So obviously, there's more to like about this device than there is the things that need to be improved. It is a great device. I love to sit on the couch or in bed and hold it as a media consumption device. Like I said, it's very well balanced. It does have some weight to it, but it's very well balanced. It's easy to hold. Anyway, I love the proportions of it. So that's a big plus. The writing experience on this is good. It is a good experience to write on. It's like I said, it's very similar to a Samsung device, and that's not a negative thing. That's a positive thing. Samsung really has put a lot of work into their S Pen experience on their Tab S series tablets, and this has a very similar writing experience to that. So, from a note-taking device, I like it. Um, I don't know that it's going to take the place of the e-ink devices that I use day in and day out, and that may just be because I have a preference for e-ink devices. But if you're looking for an all-in-one device, you don't like the way, maybe you do not already have an iPad, maybe you don't have any tablet at all, and you're looking for a device that can be a media consumption device as well as a note-taking device that can give you a good experience for both. This is something to seriously consider. The price on it at the time I was shooting this was $3.99. So if you don't already have a device, this is certainly worth considering for that. If you're trying to think if you want an iPad and an e-ink device, this is something that may bridge the gap between the two. It does have a better writing feel than the iPad does. Now you can do some things to your iPad, as I mentioned in a previous video that I'll link here, is how to make your iPad more like an e-ink device. You can do some things for your iPad to make it as good or maybe even better than this from a writing standpoint. So would I recommend it? Yeah, I would in certain situations. Will I be using it? I'm probably going to keep it around and play around with it a little bit more. Like I said, I haven't put enough time in to do a full review, but hopefully these insights have been helpful to some of you. So thanks for sticking around. If you would, please like the video, and even more, if you'll consider subscribing, that will really help me as I try to grow the channel. Thanks, everyone.